We're live, and we are live. Woohoo!
That's all you got for excitement for WrestleMania? Are you kidding me?
I was waiting.
Are you kidding me?
It was.
I
could
that
feel
came
it.
from
I
nothing.
could feel it. I could feel it, and I want people to see me when I say it. Welcome, everyone, to episode 217 of the F and Marks podcast.
I'm Jay.
And I am the brainless one. Woo! Damn. That one took a lot out of me. You're going to have to do the rest of the episode without me. Oh, God. I'm going to have to cash out. Big episode this week. We're basically sticking to two completely similar topics.
It's just NXT and WrestleMania. Who gives a crap about all the other stuff going on? So if you want to talk WrestleMania and NXT Takeover, this is the place to be. Yeah.
I may throw in some old
NXT Takeover and WrestleMania. If WrestleMania is part of it, then we could talk about it.
So I could talk about Sheamus and Daniel Bryan.
Absolutely.
That's what I was
That is WrestleMania.
It was always WrestleMania.
So
I was just telling Jay before the episode started, this is one of my favorite episodes of the year to do. I fucking love the WrestleMania one. WrestleMania is one of my favorite days out of the year. And now we have a whole weekend of it for the second year in a row. I'm not going to lie, though, Jay. I'm a little underwhelmed by tonight's card.
You know what? Tonight's card, there are some good matches on it. It's just some of the builds for some of these matches have just not been top-notch, have not been what I would call WrestleMania caliber builds. And quite honestly, I think it's because WWE wasn't 100% sure that they would be allowed to have fans. So, they're like, well, if we're not going to have anybody, like, what do we do for this? And now that they, all right, they're going to have 25,000 fans tonight, 25,000 fans tomorrow. I'm sure the wrestlers outside of Seth Rollins are super pumped that they're going to be in front of actual fans again. So
I'm gonna say that I think that part of the reason that the card is the way it is like you said, that they just didn't know what kind of the fan situation was going to be because of COVID and everything. I also think a part of it has to do with the fact that a lot of their plans probably had to change because some of the people they wanted to be a part of WrestleMania this weekend are not going to be able to be there. Guys like Brock Lesnar,
John Cena,
The Rock, Becky Lynch,
the 46th president of the United States, The Rock.
Right.
No, I'm sorry, 47th.
But because I really do think that it's. And on a lot of matches just changed just because of the fact that they didn't think the show was big enough for what it was. It looked like at one point we were going to get Mustafa Ali versus Kofi, and I would have been on board with seeing that. But then Vince was like, nah, I'm just going to have the New Day defend the titles against Omos
and AJ Styles.
And then Mustafa Ali is going to lose his entire faction.
Well, you know what? To be fair, part of that has to do with AJ Styles really wanting to go against Triple H this year.
Yes, that was
Triple H kind of said that, like, I'm not going to say no to you, but, I'll get back to you. And Triple H more or less said, like, you know what? I'm not in WrestleMania's shape. I could get my body to look how it's supposed to look. But as far as getting the cardio up there with all he does with NXT, with all he does around the world for WWE and trying to start up, an India brand, supposedly a Japanese brand, they're supposed to be opening, different NXT branches all over the world. So I understand why he's like, I didn't really have time. It's not that I didn't want to have the match. I just couldn't find time to make it happen.
And that's fine. And it's like, I think this is great. I have no issue with AJ Styles going up against the New Day because I know a lot of people there was a lot of backlash in regards to that match because it's like, you guys are wasting AJ Styles. Are they really wasting AJ Styles? AJ Styles is the tag team titles away from being a Grand Slam champion. And he did it really fucking quick if you think about it because he's been there for 5 years now.
Yeah.
And I think that Kofi Kingston, for whatever reason, gets overlooked as like a legitimate person, like one of the top stars that WWE has. Because, the guy's been there for well over a decade. He is a very decorated wrestler. And 2 years ago,
he's a Grand Slam champion.
He's a Grand Slam champion. He won the title 2 years ago, and I love Kofi Kingston. I'm a huge fan of Kofi Kingston. He is a tremendous in-ring performer, and when him and Styles get in the ring tonight, it's going to be fun to watch those two. And I love the fact that they're going to be putting Omos in this, because technically this is his first official match in WWE, if you don't count the time he was the Giant Ninja with Tozawa. And I don't think they really had a match. I think
that doesn't count. I mean, he made a quasi appearance there, but things change and ideas change. But Chris Brown mentioning that one of the names that we mentioned that is not on the card may actually be there tonight or tomorrow. So, I think with WrestleMania season, in my heart of hearts, John Cena is going to find a way into WrestleMania, whether it's by shooting something video-wise or being there in person. He lives in Tampa. He lives in Tampa. He has to show up, right?
I
hope he slams Hogan.
Yeah. Well, he can't slam Andre the Giant, so.
Honestly, if you guys haven't checked it out on our Instagram page, the Brainless One came up with brackets for biggest WrestleMania moments of all time, top 16. He had a tournament going, one of which that was not on the list, but I thought was one of the most incredible moments, just as a feat of strength, was John Cena with having Edge and Big Show on his shoulders at the same time. That's 700 pounds of humanity that he was able to lift. Yeah, he had help because they're on the ropes, but freaking A, man.
Oh yeah, and Chris Brown is adding on to what you were saying about the name that's getting rumored to be there. Is there's talk that they want to do a Ding Dong Hello, which I know Nicole's going to be thrilled to see Bailey doing Ding Dong Hello, and that her guest is going to be Becky Lynch. So we'll probably be seeing Becky Lynch tonight. And also kind of adding fuel to the fire in the rumors of Becky Lynch possibly showing up this weekend is because of the fact that she posted on Instagram a picture of her working out, and she posted a bunch of words or little sentences. And if you take the first letter of every single thing that she put, it spells out night one.
Okay.
It could just be a troll job because, come on. How many times have we thought that somebody was going to show up and we got the troll job of troll jobs? And it's oh, they played us. All those talks. I remember when they did the thing with Becky or with Ronda Rousey where all the speculation was that Ronda Rousey was going to show up and make an appearance, and then she didn't show up, and then she goes on there and she actually trolls on all the fans and says, "Oh, you thought I was going to show up and everything," and it was the meme of her
or Kurt Angle recently,
Kurt Angle
doing the thing when they're "Oh, there's somebody Hall of Fame caliber going to show up on AEW," and it ends up being it was Christian. So Gags the Clown, effing Mark's Hall of Famer, talking about Jericho.
And Chris Brown did mention that the picture was taken in Tampa. It was a Tampa gym that Becky took the picture at.
Okay.
I wouldn't be surprised if she showed up at all. I wouldn't be.
So apparently Becky Lynch was pitching an angle to Stephanie McMahon about one of the wrestlers attacking her in the maternity ward. You want to talk about that would be more Attitude Era stuff where it's they went anywhere and everywhere. And nowadays, that would definitely be stretching it, but that could have been a whole lot of fun.
Yeah. And I love the fact that yesterday Chris Jericho posted a picture that actually Gags the Clown just said Jericho, and it kind of made me think of it. Jericho took a picture yesterday and posted it on his Instagram, and it was a picture of him with the WWE plane in the background going, "Hey, I know that plane." And I was kind of waiting for 7,000 people to respond, but it's official, Jericho's going to be at WrestleMania tonight, and it's
well, he's part of WrestleMania weekend. He is on the Broken Skull Sessions.
I can't wait for that. Of all the things that are happening this weekend, no disrespect to Edge being in the Universal title main event, nothing against the fact that I want to see the Fiend in that freaking barbecue chicken looking outfit that he's wearing now. And I want to see what his entrance.
What do you keep on looking at?
I don't know. I just keep kind of looking. Down goes the whiteboard of Wondertude. Down goes the whiteboard of Wondertude. And I am more excited for the Broken Skull Sessions with Jericho and Austin and Jericho than I am for anything else this weekend.
That's a little bit sad, a little bit of an indictment on the product, honestly.
And it's not even it's against the product. It's Think about this. This is AEW superstar Chris Jericho, who is without question one of, if not the greatest wrestlers of all time, who really has been like thrown to the scrap heap by WWE. I mean, they took him out of the fucking video package that they used to do with the Then, Now, Forever. He used to be a part of that, and they took him out of it because of petty WWE.
Well, that's not petty. I mean, that would be like promoting somebody, like you're promoting somebody else. That's not petty in my view. It's like
I just,
if for instance, if you were a TV news anchor and you were on let's say an NBC station.
Yeah.
Let's say you changed over to the ABC station.
Yeah.
Why would you still have that person, if you were at NBC, on your air? You're promoting somebody from somewhere else. It is not petty. That makes complete sense. The fact that like he's on Broken Skull Sessions, it's like, you know, that's pretty big of Vince McMahon to do that. Yeah. But as far as everything goes, one interview Jericho did this week when talking about part of his reasoning for leaving WWE was after his match with Owens at WrestleMania. Originally, that was supposed to be for the world title in the main event.
Yep.
They ended up going on second in that card. So they had built up this incredible storyline over a very long period that was supposed to be the world title match. And you go from world title match to second on the card. You're not even in the first match trying to set the tone. You're the second match. And like Jericho was like going, I knew my place at that point. And I wanted to go out there and show that Chris Jericho is a draw and gets fans. And that's why the Omega match happened. And he talked about how the Omega match, like 30,000 extra tickets were sold like immediately. And like New Japan's footprint in North America went way up. People specifically bought New Japan World because of that. And after that, Jericho was just like, you know what? I kind of like this. I'm going to keep doing that. So,
well, we actually knew somebody who was already paying 999 yen a month before the Jericho. Actually, no, he did get, isn't that the reason why he got it? He spent the 999 yen a month to watch Jericho and Omega.
Yeah.
And then he ended up still keeping it for like 2 years afterward.
I mean, I tried to remind him, like,
oh, you did.
I reminded him like 4 times. Dude, you get rid of New Japan? No. He watched like one match. He watched one match, maybe, and he paid them for 2 years. Anyway,
well, thanks, Gags the Clown. I really love this shirt. It's one of my favorites now. It's the GOAT.
This one is one of my favorites because it's got the brainless one with WWE Hall of Famer RVD.
Who should be in the F. Marks Hall of Fame too. We'll get to that point when we.
Well, I mean, it could be at the end of the year when we have our black tie affair.
Yeah,
I rhymed right there. See that?
Oh shit! And it's I just and the best way to describe that, like with Jericho still being part of the thing, I think he should still be. It'd be like if Wavy still had Jesse Varner, like a video package.
They don't know who he is.
Oh, well, you know. I'm sorry, El Hesse. He's been on the show. Never mind. That was a terrible thing, and I don't know.
Let's move along. Don't even. Anyway. So as far as everything that's gone on this week, we won't get too much into Raw and SmackDown. We'll talk about, last night and the incredible buildup that we had for the main event of WrestleMania on night 2.
I'm gonna tell you right now. Last night on SmackDown, between Chris Jericho. I have Jericho on the brain now. God damn it! Between Edge, Daniel Bryan, and Roman Reigns, they all came out and cut promos. Daniel Bryan started off the show by cutting a promo. Hell of a promo. Really got those feels from Daniel Bryan. Really pleaded his case of why he belongs in this triple threat match and the whole yes movement and everything. Tremendous promo. Edge in the middle of the show cut his promo. You got those feels from Edge too, and it's like this is why Edge was one of the biggest stars, like he was 10 years ago. I think, yeah, all right, Edge is, but back when he was a star, that's what really made him what he is now. Is the fact that he could cut the promos the way he did, and including the matches that he was able to have. And of course, Roman Reigns goes out there and cuts one of his Roman Reigns better with Paul Heyman promos, and they all delivered, and they got me all excited for the main event tomorrow.
Of everything that happened this week, that was definitely the best thing as far as like getting me invested. You know, they have officially announced that Bianca and Sasha are main eventing night one. In my view, I think that if you're going to main event a night at WrestleMania, it should have a good story build. And Brainless One and I talked before the show, and it's like, if you're talking our top two storylines, it's what's the main event of night two, and the second top one should be Orton in the Feed.
Yeah,
those are the two best built storylines that we have going into WrestleMania this year. To me, like the Bianca and Sasha one has, been a paint by the numbers build. Yeah. Like, oh, we're gonna have them in a tag match. One walked out on the other. Oh, let's give them another shot at this, and same thing, happens. It's like, I just didn't think it was a great build. I think, honestly, it's just so Michael Cole can crescendo into it's boss time.
One of the things that I
thought
about in regards to like the fact that Sasha and Bianca are going to be getting the main event of night one, and then obviously Daniel Bryan, Roman Reigns, and Edge are getting the main event tomorrow night, is that the main event on both nights is a SmackDown rivalry.
Yes.
And I kind of have a problem with that. Like, if you didn't want to do the WWE Championship as the main event of night one, then, like you said, it should have been The Fiend and Randy Orton. You could have had any other match that could have been
the match that, in my view, they could have built and had it be the WWE Championship on the line for WrestleMania would have been Drew McIntyre versus Sheamus.
Yeah.
They have a long history. They played up that history in that rivalry, and they went, I enjoyed the hell out of those matches. They were fantastic. But, like, they didn't want to hold off and do that. I just thought it was silly. It seemed very short-sighted what they did as far as booking of the WWE title. I'm glad Lashley won the title.
Yeah,
I love Lashley. But between the short-term stupid booking, as far as that goes, breaking up the Hurt Business, and taking the dominant Lashley character that we had and now turning him into trying to get somebody from the locker room to beat up Drew McIntyre, it's like, as much as I have a respect for Drew McIntyre, and as much as most of the people in the locker room should have a fear from him, Bobby Lashley, the character we've seen since he joined the Hurt Business, should not be in fear of Drew McIntyre in the slightest.
Agreed. And it's just, and it was stupid too, because the two of them have a lot of history with each other too, if you think about it, because they both kind of left WWE in the terms that they left WWE on. They both went and kind of did their own thing. Bobby Lashley went to Bellator before he went to Impact Wrestling. And, Drew McIntyre, wrestled in Europe before he came to Impact Wrestling. And their paths actually did cross in Impact Wrestling when it was TNA. And I want to say they actually fought for the TNA World Heavyweight Championship. I could be wrong, but I'm almost positive that the two of them actually fought.
Either way, they're not bringing any of that up. No. Everything that they're doing with this storyline, again, like it almost feels like character assassination for Bobby Lashley. You break up the faction he was in. He still has MVP as his mouthpiece, which is a very good idea.
Yeah.
But you turned him from this dominant ass kicker to now all of a sudden, kind of like a chicken shit heel.
Yeah.
When you look like him, you should not be scared of people. Brock Lesnar, Brock Lesnar's character is Brock Lesnar. He just goes and kicks anybody's ass, right? He wasn't scared of anybody.
No.
He wasn't, and that's why Bobby Lashley should not be scared of anybody,
except for Brock Lesnar.
He shouldn't even be scared of him. He should have enough confidence in himself that I'm going to kick his ass too. I don't like what they've done with this character. I hope they could right that ship.
Can I let you in on a little secret? I'm afraid of Brock Lesnar.
Yeah, I know. You've mentioned several times on the podcast that if it was Jason Voorhees, Michael Myers, and Freddy Krueger on one end of a
alleyway,
and Brock Lesnar on the other, you would go against Freddy,
I take
Michael
my chances,
Myers,
yes.
and Jason. Yeah.
Brock Lesnar scares the fucking shit out of me. And he seems like a really good guy because, like, I've heard some stories about him. Like, Brock's actually, like, a really solid human being. And, in fact, like, especially with, like, F and Mark's Hall of Famer Curtis Axel.
Yeah.
They actually have a 3-pack set. It's Brock Lesnar, John Cena, and Curtis Axel. And Brock Lesnar was actually adamant about how Curtis Axel should be part of that so that he can continue making money to help support his family. And I'm like, God damn, I'm like, that speaks volumes of what Brock Lesnar really is, because, like, everybody thinks he's a dick.
Well, and the thing was, when Lesnar came back, who do you think he trained with?
Curtis Axel.
And who did he fight in his first match back?
Curtis Axel. John Cena.
John Cena.
No, John Cena, that's right.
And that's why that makes sense. But, you know, I think Brock Lesnar, you know, he just doesn't like hanging around with people. But if he likes you and gets to know you, he's cool as far as that goes.
Yeah.
Anyway, but, you know, it's WrestleMania season. And again, there's only been a couple of these that seem like they deserve the WrestleMania build or got the WrestleMania build to them. They could have made the Cesaro and Rollins one better just with how long their history is. But, you know, it's not, you know, main eventing either night. Right. So, you know, they put in there what they needed to put in there, I guess, as far as getting us to WrestleMania.
Am I crazy to say that they actually did a better job building the SmackDown matches for WrestleMania than they did the Raw matches?
Oh, they absolutely did. I mean, think about it. You know, Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens. They did a good job of selling that.
Yes.
And adding Logan Paul, whatever. I know that's so they could get some publicity on mainstream media and, you know, from Logan Paul's YouTube viewers and subscribers, but whatever as far as Logan Paul goes. And
you know, between that one and, like we just said, with Rollins and Cesaro, they did a hell of a job of booking that one. The obviously the Universal Championship, that was the best booked thing for this entire weekend. I mean, even the Apollo Crews Big E Intercontinental title match, I'm actually kind of hyped for because they did a hell of a job at building it up. And, you know, it's like everything else that Raw has done for this weekend has been drizzle shits.
They've done a decent job. They've actually, you know what? They've done a good job of building the Bad Bunny, Damian Priest, Ms. Morrison thing. It's just I don't like the idea of having celebrity people performing in a big spot like that. Now, in general.
Now, I am gonna play devil's advocate in this role. If it was like Mr. T at WrestleMania 1, the way that they promoted that, and it's like Mr. T can actually probably go in the ring. You know, somebody like Floyd, as much as I hated the match, somebody like Floyd Mayweather makes sense. You know, the fact that Mike Tyson was the enforcer in the Austin Shawn Michaels match at WrestleMania 14, stuff like that, I'm on board with. Like when you have like Maria Menounos come out and like announce what the attendance is at WrestleMania, I could see that as like a situation where you could bring in somebody, but like Bad Bunny should not have a marquee match or any match for that matter at WrestleMania. I understand that you want to put eyeballs on the screen because you want to draw people in, the people that wouldn't typically watch wrestling because of Bad Bunny, but it's like you can have him sing America the Beautiful. You could have him have a musical performance. They've done that at WrestleManias before. They don't need Bad Bunny in a match against a guy you completely screwed over heading into WrestleMania by giving him the title and then taking it away from him 8 days later.
I think everybody knew that Miz was a transitional champion.
And I still think that it should have been, and I'm still going to say this, and I'm going to keep pounding on the fact that it should have been Elias that should have went up against Bad Bunny. Because you could have had this new up-and-coming star in music going up against WWE's biggest musical attraction. It writes for itself. It shouldn't be Elias and Jackson Riker fighting in the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal.
It wasn't even on WrestleMania.
And that's part of the reason why I'm really pissed about this weekend is the fact that the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal and the SmackDown Tag Team titles were not on the WrestleMania card, but we're getting fucking Bad Bunny tonight, and that piece of shit retard Logan Paul is going to be on tomorrow night.
The thing I don't get, you have 2 nights of WrestleMania and you can't find time for either of these things, that's a bunch of horse shit.
And it's like, and I get that the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal is kind of gimmicky, and like whoever has won it has really not done too much since.
No, wait. They specifically put that out there so it could be a tribute to Andre the Giant for what he meant to the wrestling business. So now you sit there and disrespect that by putting it on before WrestleMania.
Thank you.
No.
Like as much as I can't stand the Big Show now because of the fact that he's a big pussy, when he won the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal, I believe at WrestleMania 31, I was actually happy for him because it was like, I bet you that meant a lot more to him than a lot of people realize. Because I'm assuming, but I'm almost positive that a big influence on the career that the Big Show had was because of Andre the Giant. If you think about it, he was the biggest name of all the big wrestlers, the monster, massive guys.
I still wanted the intellectual savior of the masses, although at that moment he was the stunt double for The Miz.
Yes,
taking a crappy storyline, turning it into something awesome. Yeah.
Anyway. And like I always look back because like you said, I did the tournament of the WrestleMania moments. How awesome was it when Cesaro picked up the Big Show in the first one
like
they did, and just like a sack of fucking potatoes and threw him out of the ring? How awesome was that? It's just
that could have been the catapult moment for Cesaro, and here we are 7 years later.
I mean, he's got a really
and finally he has a singles match in WrestleMania where it's like, well, yeah, this could help propel him.
Yes.
And this is my lock for the weekend. Cesaro's winning that match. He has to win that match. If he doesn't win that match, I feel sorry for the long-term contract that he just signed.
Unless they do it right. If they find a way to do it right and have Rollins win,
Rollins should not win this match.
No, he shouldn't.
The way that he has been such an a-hole to Cesaro, talking about, hey, all these WrestleMania moments, kind of like when he was saying, hey, you had this iconic moment, and then you had this iconic moment, which I had. This iconic moment, and then this iconic moment, which I had. And what he's saying is not false as far as having these huge moments. But when you're sitting there just degrading this dude, mm-hmm. He has to win. He has to win.
I agree. I really do. I think that Cesaro should win this. I think he should. But
lock of the weekend for me.
Oh, no. The lock of the weekend is going to be Nia Jax is going to wrestle like a fucking dumbass.
Lock of the weekend.
No, the lock of the weekend is I'm going to have a tism.
All right. So before we get, we've kind of covered a lot of the things that are going to go on for WrestleMania. But before we actually get into predictions, we probably should actually talk NXT Takeover, Stand and Deliver.
What a fucking week for WWE programming. I mean, we got, we had Raw on Monday, duh. And then on Tuesday, we had the Hall of Fame that we will not speak of.
You spoke of it. Stop.
Yeah, well, I don't really want to go too much into detail.
Stop.
And then Wednesday, we had NXT Takeover, Stand and Deliver, night 1. And then Thursday was night 2. And the thing that really threw me for a loop was the fact that they didn't have both nights on the USA Network. Like, I had to watch night 2 on the Peacock, and I didn't
that was the idea.
Okay.
That was the idea. They wanted to entice people in to buy it the second night. This is just my personal belief here. They probably could get more viewers watching NXT on the USA Network.
Yes.
It made it feel, in my view, less big by having it in the middle of the week.
Agreed.
They should have done it last weekend.
Oh, I 100% agree.
Should have done it last weekend.
Yes, and if they did the same thing like they did where it was 2 nights, but if they did it like Friday night for night 1 and then Saturday night for night 2, because I'm still going to fight over the fact that it shouldn't be on Sundays, but regardless.
They won't put it on Friday because then they're competing with SmackDown.
You're right. But even if they did like a 5-hour-long NXT TakeOver on Saturday, I'd rather watch a 5-hour-long NXT TakeOver than a 5-hour WrestleMania. Because I think a 5-hour NXT takeover would actually feel less painful than watching a 5-hour WrestleMania.
Well, I understand that he's a heel and he's trying to belittle Cesaro, but with all that Cesaro has been through as a character and just in general in his WWE run, he's been beaten so many times.
Yeah.
He has never had any real signature moments. Like he won the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal and immediately lost every match for the next 2 years.
And I think
at this point, Cesaro, the character, needs to win. Otherwise, basically, the guy who has been putting him down this whole time, not only did he, put his foot and thumb down on him, he squashed him.
Yeah.
That will be the death of the Cesaro character, and we should never, ever take him seriously again.
And just remember, Cesaro is not too long removed from losing the tag team titles, the Raw tag team titles, to a team that consisted of an 11-year-old kid. Think about that. When Braun Strowman could have had Okada as his tag team partner, he picked an 11-year-old kid.
Anyway, back to Stand and Deliver. Night one.
Can I say that it delivered?
You can.
It delivered.
Both nights really were really incredible, and just that they carried over obviously the North American title match because they had the gauntlet match. But by the way, I appreciate the fact that at least gauntlet matches make somebody have to win to earn their opportunity at a title. But at this point, it's like going, dude, stop. Kofi Kingston and Seth Rollins are still in a gauntlet match to decide whether or not they have the opportunity at the WWE title.
Can I just say, was there any better option for a first match of the entire 2-night takeover than Pete Dunne and Kushida did the way night one did?
The thing that was just fantastic about these two guys, it's like it was similar but different than when Daniel Bryan went against Drew Gulak, where it's like they had a counter for everything. Like Drew Gulak had a counter for Daniel Bryan for things you had never seen anybody counter. Mm-hmm. And like they would have each other in moves where like, how are you going to get out of that? And then next thing you know, they've reversed it in some crazy way. And you're like, just a fantastic way to kickstart Takeover. And, as much as you're kind of like going, Dunn's one of the best performers in the world and was going for the title not that long ago. And it kind of sucks that you go from going for the title to
the secondary title, and then not even making it to the secondary title match. You end up having the leadoff match of the Takeover.
But you are setting the tone.
Yes.
Like there's nothing, like a lot of people go out there and talk it. It's like, don't talk poorly of the first match. The first match sets the tone for the rest of the night.
I mean, if you think about it, one of the most iconic matches in WrestleMania history was the leadoff match, and that was the match at WrestleMania 10. That was, Owen Hart versus Brett. And that match set the tone for the entire match.
For the entire WrestleMania.
Yes.
So there's nothing wrong with being the first match in that they put them out there to be that first match to set the tone.
Yeah.
And Pete Dunne goes over in this match where, I mean, they just traded back and forth the entire night and kind of made it like, hey, all right, follow that. And you know what? Damn if like everybody else was trying to say, follow that, follow that, follow that.
It was a beautiful wrestling match between Kushida and Pete Dunne. I was thoroughly entertained. And I have no problem with Pete Dunne going over on Kushida. Either one of them could have won, and I would have been okay with it. I just wanted to be entertained, and that's exactly what I was. Very good old school wrestling match.
So, yeah.
Yeah!
All right, so then we had the triple threat match for the vacant tag team championships. Grizzled Young Vets, Legado del Fantasma, and MSK. Both of us thought the Grizzled Young Vets were going to take this match.
I'm not as surprised that MSK won this match. I thought it was a little soon, which is why I went with Grizzled Young Vets, that and the fact that I just love the Grizzled Young Vets. But the fact that the Grizzled Young Vets ate the pinfall was the big surprise for me. I thought that was the only reason Legado de Fantasma or whatever the hell it is
was going to be in the match,
just to eat the pinfall or submit or whatever it was.
Chris, we have not seen Uncle Dave's ratings for the matches. I know the brainless one waits, with bated breath on everything that Uncle Dave Meltzer says. But again, all three teams showed up in this match, had their moments that were just like, you're like, all right, pretty awesome. I always love when grizzled young vets break out the Doomsday device. At least when they do it, it doesn't turn into a 2 count. They'll do it outside the ring to somebody, and it always looks devastating. But the spot in the match where like MSK ended up doing like some sort of, I think it was like modified, almost like power bomb thing onto one of the dudes from Legado del Fantasma outside the ring, and I forgot what and Grizzled Young Vets did the Doomsday device to the other one, so basically it eliminated them and made it just a straight up tag match the rest of the way. And I just loved how it all came together, and how in the end, like when I forget which one of MSK was about ready to tap out, and then like the other guy stopped his hand, just grabbed it, and then just having that like brotherly moment, being in a tag team, having gone up and down the road together all those years, and then like powering through and win it. It was very cool. I loved it.
The Rascals coming to NXT was a huge get for NXT. It really was.
Yeah.
They're a very entertaining tag team. I enjoyed their time when they were in Impact, and I think they're going to be stars for NXT. And they deserve to win the titles. I thought it was a little soon to pull the trigger on it, but I mean, it really didn't surprise me at all. And Chris Brown, in regards to Dave Meltzer, I really wish he would just do me a favor, take his bottom lip, put it over his head, and swallow.
Yeah.
Nothing like getting a grumpy old man reference on the podcast, huh?
Right. Love it.
Looks like Chuck's bringing the log to the beaver.
Kevin Dunn is excited by that.
Oh, wait until we do our good and bad and the brainless.
All right. So we had our Gauntlet Eliminator match with Leon Ruff, Isaiah Swerve Scott, Bronson Reed, Dexter Loomis, and LA Knight. And the winner of this match was going to be going against Johnny Wrestling, Johnny Takeover, Johnny Gargano, in night 2 of Stand and Deliver.
Is this the fastest that somebody has turned this quickly after debuting? Because I'm convinced, because LA Knight has completely gone heel, and it looked like he came in as a face, and the fact that he was cutting the promo the way he did on his way to the ring as the last participant in the match had me thinking that like he was talking shit about Bronson Reed, and I'm like, yo, Bronson Reed was just a heel like a week or 2 ago when he beat LA Knight. What the hell is going on here? I was so confused by that.
One thing that I loved about this match in the last couple of weeks, Isaiah Swerve Scott making a heel turn, and after all the L's that he's taken lately, he always makes the other guy look good as a face, but like he never gets anywhere. He makes everybody else look good. I love this Isaiah Swerve Scott. I love the fact that he came out and beat the hell out of Leon Ruff before the match even started. Swerve Scott got all the way to the end in this. I thought this was well executed.
I really thought he was going to win it, and I thought he was the most deserving of anybody in the match to have won it. I mean, obviously, I would have liked to have seen Dexter Loomis just because of the fact that Loomis has the history with the way. Sorry, fastball reference. The worst. But, like, I mean, it would have made sense for Loomis. Obviously, as a Cameron Grimes mark, I would have loved to have seen Cameron Grimes win it.
That moment with he and Reed where, like, it was almost like a double-cross body where they, like, flipped in the air. That was cool acrobatics.
And, like, I really wanted to see LA Knight because, you know, I'm a huge Eli Drake fan. I would have loved to see that, and I would have loved to have seen Eli Drake versus Johnny Gargano. Let's be sure for 2 seconds. Honestly, like Leon Ruff and Bronson Reed were the only two that I really didn't want to see win this match. And Bronson Reed ended up winning the match. But in the best possible way, though.
Yeah.
They started building other rivalries in this because obviously with Bronson Reed winning, it's set up for him in night 2 taking on Johnny Gargano for the North American Championship.
Yeah.
But because of the fact that LA Knight had interaction with Dexter Lumis, they're setting up for the two of them to go at it. Sign me up. Go ahead, sign me up. I'm on board with that.
Yeah.
Dexter Lumis is a very intriguing character, and the character development he's had since he was part of that Futures tournament they had about over a year ago, with Bronson Reed and Isaiah Swerve Scott, and they got a lot of really good stars between the three of them and Cameron Grimes just from that tournament, and that are all making an impact in NXT. Yes, I did. But like I think that Lumis and LA Knight have a chance to actually just do some really good stuff together. But I other than that, I really did enjoy the gauntlet match.
Yeah, overall it was good. Again, like I prefer them having a gauntlet match, so someone earns the opportunity for the title, as opposed to what we've been doing with the U.S. and Intercontinental Champions for the last, most of their existence in the last 10 years. We've had, obviously when John Cena had the U.S. title and did the open challenges, it meant something. When The Miz was Intercontinental Champion, that meant something. But for the most part, they've treated those secondary titles as a joke. I'm glad that, like, North American title, I think there's been a time or two where the champions lost a non-title match, but at least it's not like you're like going, oh, yeah, it's another week. It's another week for your secondary champion to lose, to set up a match where he's going to retain the title or she is going to retain the title later.
Right. And Chris Brown, just to let you know, the Finn Balor Karrion Kross match would have gotten higher than 3.75 stars if Okada or Omega were in it, and it definitely would have gotten
Tokyo Dome,
and it would have gotten 5.5 stars if it was inside the Tokyo Dome.
Right.
Because fuck Dave Meltzer.
Right. All right. So we had Walter going against Tommaso Ciampa.
What a fucking match! I was so happy. Because everybody knows how much I love Walter. You know how much I love Walter. Walter is one of my favorite wrestlers in all wrestling right now. And Tommaso Ciampa, for the fact that he threatened to kill one of our good friends in an F and Marks Hall of Famer one time. Oh, did I kind of expose that? I didn't mean to. But other than that, I mean, Ciampa is just one of those guys that you could put him in the ring with just about anybody, and he is going to give you a fight unlike anything you've ever seen. I enjoy watching Tommaso Ciampa. He was the perfect person to put in the ring with Walter. And they beat the hell out of each other.
They did. And this, for me, this was the match of both Takeover nights. Nothing against the other matches. The other matches were still fantastic. This, for me, was my favorite of the matches. Like, the story they told with Walter putting his hand through the announcer's desk, and the fact that Ciampa just, his attack was on the hand, trying to take away the biggest weapon on Walter's body, and it slowed Walter down from being able to finish off Ciampa. The only thing, like, not that it was completely anticlimactic, like the end of the match, I was like it felt like it either needed to go like another 30 seconds with Walter doing like another move. But outside of that, everything was like pitch perfect. I love this match. Tommaso Ciampa is still doing clotheslines to Walter right now. I mean, how many did he give? Like it was like at least 10 to 15. I love that part of the match. And like, I'm like watching Ciampa. I'm like going, hey, he's not. It doesn't seem like he's running, 100% here. And then like when I saw him do like 5,000 clotheslines, I'm like going, okay, yes, he needed to save a little bit of energy because you run back and forth, run back and forth, run back and forth. But no, the storytelling was so awesome. Like, even when Walter's trying to, chop, and he's chopping with his left hand, and the announcer's actually bringing forth, that left hand's not as strong as the right hand. So, and the one critique I have for the announcers, there were a lot of times throughout the night where Vic Joseph
Land. Sorry, had to do it.
Just like the crowd would say, "This is awesome." It was clearly audible to anybody listening. And then Vic Joseph would be like, "The crowd saying this is awesome." Yes, it is. It's like, you don't need to tell us what we're hearing.
Yeah.
So he did that a few times, and it was a little annoying. Like, especially in the middle of that match, I was like, "You've taken me out of this match by just telling me what I'm already hearing."
I bet you any money Vince was in his ear, or Triple H was in his ear, like, try to pump it up. Probably Vince, because Vince is fucking retarded.
Yeah.
And I just want you to know, Jay, that all the years that I've been doing this podcast, almost 5 years, I've never been more disrespected in my entire life than the fact that somebody said that I am Bruce Pritchard. And it's somebody who's been trying to pander their way into the F.M. Marks Hall of Fame, and they call me Bruce Pritchard. Do I really
Brother Love?
I love you. As I scared the shit out of the dog, by the way. I'm sorry, Petey, buddy. You're still my friend. Just don't tell me.
Anyway.
That was the match of the entire weekend, and I was looking, or not even the weekend, those 2 nights. That was the match I was looking forward to because I knew what to expect from Walter, and I knew what to expect from Tommaso Ciampa.
I wish there was a little bit more chance to build this, but I mean, you know, Walter isn't here 24/7.
Right.
You know, he comes over on select times, and you know they had a couple weeks to build this. And you know what they did. I like the fact that he brought up, you know, you don't have the killer instinct anymore. You know what happened to the Black Heart, and I liked how Ciampa, you know, talked about his motivation now and how his motivation is different and what he's doing is different. The fact that Walter, you know, did go after his neck to try to expose, you know, his surgically repaired neck. But there was even that part in the match where Tommaso Ciampa specifically did the bridge on his neck.
Yeah.
And it was actually good on Vic Joseph to say, "Oh, look at the strength in his neck."
Vic Joseph, yes, he had
some moments where it's just like, "Don't tell me what I'm hearing."
Right. Vic Joseph is what he is, and he is really good at what he does. I will say that.
For the most part, he is. He's better than Michael Cole, baby.
Oh, come on, Jay. I could go in the bathroom and have, you know, I can have Taco Bell tonight, and tomorrow morning when I'm in the bathroom shitting and farting everywhere, it would sound better than anything Michael Cole has ever called in a wrestling match.
Like when he says it's boss time, or it's the big dog.
He doesn't even say the big dog anymore.
Well, hey, you know what? At some point, the big dog's going to come back.
You know what bothers me the most?
He is waiting that. He's waiting for that.
You know what bothers me the most is when he says vintage anything. Like, it's like, because it's like vintage Randy Orton or vintage John Cena or vintage, like when we get to the vintage Apollo Crews, that's when I'm going to probably shoot myself in the face.
Yeah.
And I waited to say that for when Nicole finally chimed in on the podcast.
Yeah. But. All right. So the main event for night one, Io Shirai versus Raquel Gonzalez. Now, this is something that they kind of sort of started up during TakeOver War Games, where Raquel ended up pinning Io Shirai for the victory, and it seemed like, all right, well, at some point Raquel's going to get her opportunity, and then they did all sorts of crazy stuff with Raquel Gonzalez being a tag team champion
for like a hot second, literally a hot second.
I don't like what they did with Raquel to, like, after that moment at War Games to get to here, but we did get to there. And these two women put it all on the line and really, like, had a fantastic match. Io Shirai jumping off the freaking skull. I mean, they showed like 5 million replays of that from different angles. It deserved that. It was one of those holy crap moments. It's like Wade Barrett talking about how I would never do that. Jumping onto, like, landing onto a grate below does not appeal to me. And he talked many times, like even night two with the ladder match for the Cruiserweight Championship, talking about how scared he was in a ladder match. He's like, I got up to like the fourth rung and was like, yeah. So, but like him bringing in his own experience, but not overly so. Yeah. And talking about, like, it really is scary what she did. And, you know, Gonzalez was there to take the bump, but even so, it wasn't like Raquel took all of it.
Mhm.
Io still hit the grades a bit.
Right.
From a very high.
It was pretty fucking cool, though.
It was a great visual, and you know what? She has been a heck of a champion, and there literally was no one else for her to go against. She had run through every opponent, so it made sense for Raquel Gonzalez to have her moment.
Yeah, because with Raquel Gonzalez winning the championship, you open up the door to all these opportunities for all these different people to step in and get a shot at the title. Because you know what? With Raquel Gonzalez winning, we're definitely going to be getting Dakota Kai versus Raquel Gonzalez for the title, because eventually Dakota Kai is going to get jealous of Raquel Gonzalez being the champion. And
well, the thing is I think Raquel is a heel right now. So who are the faces out there in the female division that like deserve an opportunity at this point? They're going to have to build people up. I mean, I guess if you want to, you could have Io versus Raquel in a rematch, but there's some work that needs to be done.
And if it's not Io Shirai, you think about two of the biggest stars that they have in the women's division are Shotzi Blackheart and Ember Moon, but they're the NXT Women's Tag Team Champions. And it's like, and you have like Zoe Stark, but it's like this, you know, she just started not too long ago. She had her first match in the Dusty Rhodes Classic. Yes, she's been getting a lot of opportunities, and I love the fact that she's been getting matches, because it's one way for you to showcase who you are. And I know they're very high on her as a performer, and eventually at some point she will get opportunities, but she's not there yet. They really don't have like that big time face that they could just stick in there to go up against Raquel Gonzalez. Right now it's Io Shirai, but there's been talks like maybe she's going to take some time off. Maybe she goes to the main roster. Maybe it's the Fratellis. But, you know, it's eventually they're going to have to do something. They're going to have to build up all these rivalries, because all of their big names right now, Toni Storm, you know, Raquel Gonzalez, Dakota Kai, Candice LeRae, they're all heels. Mercedes Martinez, they're all heels. Every single one of them is a heel right now. They don't have like a big time face other than Io Shirai, and God only knows what they're going to do with Io Shirai now. I mean, she was busting her ass as women's champion. I could understand completely if she wanted to take some time off to just kind of like chill and like maybe not worry about wrestling and, you know, let your body recuperate a little bit, because it was to a point where she was almost defending the title almost every single week. And it was like, all right, she's fighting Toni Storm this week, and 2 weeks ago she was fighting her and Mercedes Martinez, and then 2 weeks before that she was fighting Ember Moon, and 2 weeks before that she was fighting Candice LeRae, and she went through literally went through everybody.
I mean, one person I wouldn't mind them having her go against, and I don't know if they'd do this again. You know, several years ago they brought back specifically Mickie James to go against Asuka.
Yep.
You know, Mickie, who it seems like WWE has more or less, I think she's still signed to a contract, but they've just kind of decided to not use her on the main roster. I think they used her on Legends Night. You know what? Have her go against Raquel Gonzalez. I'd love to see that. I mean, but beyond that, they haven't built anybody up. So,
because the biggest star that they had of the women's division, other than Io Shirai, they just moved up to the main roster, and she's fighting for the Raw Championship for women's tomorrow night.
So,
and she's a heel now too. I mean, what they could do is they could also bring somebody from the main roster who's not getting utilized that could go down there, like a Charlotte Flair, or even a Becky Lynch to get her into wrestling shape. Maybe have Becky go down there.
Well, and I wouldn't even do it. I mean, like, I think that would be doing something to elevate, you know, the NXT brand. But they kind of did that with Charlotte already last year, having her win the NXT title, and then having Io Shirai, you know, win it from her. So,
which is funny, because that was something that Nicole and I actually talked about last night, was what would happen. Like, because I asked her, I said, who do you think is going to win the Rhea Ripley Asuka match tomorrow night? And, you know, we both had a conversation. Obviously, once we get into our predictions, you'll know where I'm standing with this and where I'm going with this. But, yeah, you have a lot of different things you can do.
But they need to build up that women's division.
Rebuild that women's division, because it's got a lot of big names, and you know they've done some good things with a lot of them.
You need to switch them. You need to switch them. Somebody needs to turn face.
Somebody needs to turn face.
So we'll find out, I guess, on Tuesday.
I think it's going to be Raquel Gonzalez.
We will find out on Tuesday.
the first official night of NXT on Tuesday nights.
So,
yeah.
All right. So night 2, we had Ember Moon and Shotzi Blackheart defending against The Way, Candice LeRae and Indy Hartwell. One thing I have to say about this is Indy Hartwell was the only person without multicolored hair. Right? Am I right? Or am I right?
And she's probably the most insane of the 4 people in the match because she's got a thing for Dexter Lumis. I mean, don't get me wrong. I don't see it.
You have a thing for Dexter Lumis.
I wouldn't go that far. But I do enjoy him as a character. I can't see how anybody other than a mother would love a face like that. His mother, I should say.
I saw a guy who looked like Dexter Lumis minus about 75 pounds like 3 weeks ago.
Yeah. But
so anyway, women's tag team championship match, Ember and Shotzi against The Way. I was thinking that, The Way has taken a lot of losses lately, and at some point you have to win. So that's why I picked them to win these titles, even though I was like, I don't like the idea of them hot potatoing this thing.
A brand new belt too.
But, I was like, they can't keep losing, can they? And it's like, yep, you're wrong. They can keep losing. So, but, this was a solid match. I'm not going to say it was like spectacular. Mm-hmm. Very solid match.
I agree. And, you're going to get out of Candice LeRae in a wrestling match. She is one of the better in-ring performers in all of professional wrestling, let alone NXT. And, Indy Hartwell is starting to come into her own a little bit. Obviously, Ember Moon is a tremendous in-ring performer. And Shotzi Blackheart.
Former NXT champion.
She's a former NXT champion. And, and Shotzi Blackheart has really made a name for herself, too. I'm excited to see what she's going to bring to the division in the long term, because I know that she is a fantastic in-ring performer just from her work in, I think it was Evolve, if I'm not mistaken.
And she just, she has a unique look.
Yep.
And
never would have thought that she was Filipina either.
But you know what? And in anything, you have to stand out. She stands out, hair color, coming down in a tank, mm-hmm. and like just those aren't even little things. Like It's like you're sitting there putting yourself out there and like, yeah, this is me, and say whatever you want.
Because think about it, how many wrestlers over the years have had tattoos? I mean, a shit ton.
Right.
And that's one way to stick out, but it's like, well, if everybody else has had tattoos, you got to stick out. So I get the whole green hair, the wearing the fucking army helmet and everything like that, coming out with a tank. It's very original, and I like it. And yesterday kind of plays into this a little bit. Yesterday I watched, because they have this how they have the Dark Side of the Rings. Well, they have the ones now where they have what the hell is that dude's name? He does the podcast with Bruce Pritchard.
That's not Conrad Thompson, right?
It is. It's Conrad Thompson. So Conrad Thompson has a show where they kind of dig deep into like the actual episodes, and it's him and the two, I want to say, the creators of the show, and they talk about how they got the show to come about and everything. And it just so happens it was the New Jack one. And New Jack talked about how he came up with the character idea, because for the life of me, I can't even think of the guy. I'm terrible with names. I'm sorry. The guy that he had talked to about getting into professional wrestling said, don't be like everybody else. You got to come up with something that people have never seen before. And that kind of goes hand in hand with Shotzi Blackheart. It's like, how many different women have we seen come up with weird color hairs or has had a shit ton of tattoos or everything?
A couple years ago, you had Naomi coming out with everything that glows.
And that was unique, and that was something that we didn't see before, and that really stood out. And, that a lot of people say that that's what helped her kind of get to her thing.
It took her to the next level.
Yeah, it took her to the next level. And I think that with the look that Shotzi Blackheart has, adding the tank and all that stuff, it's something we've never seen before, and it's different, and people kind of gravitate towards Shotzi Blackheart.
So I'm happy that they retained the titles.
Agreed.
I've been a fan of Ember for a while. When she was NXT champion, I enjoyed her run with that.
She still has one of the best finishing moves in wrestling.
She does.
I love that.
The Eclipse.
Oh.
So good for them, and I hope they build up the women's tag. Like they've been doing a better job of building the women's tag division down in NXT than they have on the main roster, which is crazy because they have 2 brands to draw from. And I come back to my belief is they should have kept the women's division on one show, and they could have had like the cruiserweights on the other show to differentiate the 2 shows. But
or tag teams, yeah. And I'll tell you too, because like I want to give them credit heading into tomorrow. I'm sorry, between tonight's what is it? It's not a gauntlet match, right? It's for the number 1 contendership for the women's tag team titles.
It's not a gauntlet match. It's like a fatal five-way. It's a 5-way match. I forgot how they termed it, but
it's a 5-way match, and of the tag teams that are in it, it's like you got the Riot Squad, who is actually a legitimate tag team that have actually worked together before in the past, and they're actually like they had the matching attires and everything. And then there's just 4 makeshift tag teams. Mandy Rose was in a tag team with Sonya Deville, split her up, and they promised. But my whole thing was they promised Mandy Rose a push, especially after last year when she didn't even have a match. She basically all she had was she kissed Otis after Otis beat Dolph Ziggler. And it's like she didn't really have that. So it's like you put her with Dana Brooke, and now they're in a tag team turmoil. That's it, the tag team turmoil match for tonight to determine the number 1 contenders for the tag team titles. The same thing with Peyton Royce and Billie Kay. You had the Iconics. They were a great tag team. They were the most established tag team in the women's division, if you think about it. Since they brought the tag team titles, you split them up. Peyton Royce was supposed to get a push because Vince was very high on her. Now she's going to be in catering, and Billie Kay's going to be with Carmella.
Storyline-wise, that makes sense. To be fair, I would say Tamina and Natty are, I wouldn't say a tag team, but they've been a duo for a while.
It's very similar, the tag team of Tamina Snuka and Natty Neidhart, and she even made this reference on her Instagram. She said she's like, this history repeat itself because she posted a picture of her uncle, the GOAT, Owen Hart, when he teamed up with Yokozuna at WrestleMania 11, where the Brainless One was sitting on the floor watching as Owen Hart announced Yokozuna to be his tag team partner. And, Tamina Snuka is from that same family ties as Yokozuna. So, I mean, it would make sense. And I would love to see Natty Neidhart win the title. I really would like to see her win the tag team titles tomorrow.
So, anyway, let's hit back to NXT TakeOver.
Yeah?
All right. So we had Johnny Gargano going against Bronson Reed for the North American title. I enjoyed the storytelling here. Just some of the stuff that Reed took in night 1, how he was still injured and how, he didn't have the full tank. and as far as all that goes, Bronson Reed trying to end the match early, looking good early, and then kind of wearing out a bit as the match wore on. I enjoyed all of those things. I liked how, Johnny Gargano, didn't need the way to win this match, really. It wasn't, all sorts of chicanery going on. He just won.
And I love the fact that Austin Theory did not wear those pants that bothered me a few weeks ago.
Yes, very, very exciting.
And I will say this, and that's another art form that we've talked about that has kind of died off a little bit, and that the guys who still do it makes, I'm actually happier about. The fact that Bronson Reed, who was just in that gauntlet match the night before, kind of selling it a little bit that he's not 100% heading into the match. And that's an art form that has kind of died out a little bit in wrestling. But so I enjoy the fact that Bronson Reed kind of carried that over into the night 2 of TakeOver.
But overall, I enjoyed what they did here. And you know what? Johnny Wrestling retaining, in my view, was the right thing.
Would you say that Johnny Gargano retaining was the way to go?
Sure.
Oh, come on. That was a good one. Give me my phone.
Good and terrible.
I'm calling your mom right now.
Right.
Your mom would actually enjoy that one. Calling her right now.
All right.
I'm kidding. I'm not calling her.
All right. So then we had the ladder match to unify the Cruiserweight Championship between Santos Escobar and Jordan Devlin.
For me, I don't know why, but for me, this was the upset of the weekend.
Both of us picked Devlin to win this match, just figuring like he's been stuck over across the ocean for the better part of the year. There were some things that came up in that year that like made you wonder whether or not Jordan Devlin was going to come back to WWE wrestling.
Yep.
Based off of other WWE investigations, we don't know how in depth they really were, but you know they've obviously cleared Jordan Devlin of whatever, and you know said, all right, we're going to bring you back. We're going to, you know, have you go against Santos Escobar and unify the Cruiserweight Championship. And overall, I enjoyed this match. I appreciate all they did, putting their bodies on the line to entertain us. It wasn't my favorite ladder match, but like that bump specifically at the end that Devlin took onto the ladder looked like it really sucked. Like it looked like he kind of hit the back of his head, you know, back of your head on metal, and then the ladder kind of like breaking in half. So like after he's already hit his head in the back, it like folds on it. It looked like it just sucked.
Yeah, I agree.
But these guys really did pull out all the stops. But you know, it felt a little bit more like a stunt show. And I know ladder matches are supposed to kind of be stunt shows, but I wish they would have brought in more psychology versus like trying to have an oh shit moment.
Right.
But,
holy shit. Timmy, that's a really good question because I know a lot of rumors have been swirling around that
a six tag team,
adding a sixth tag team to the match in the tag team turmoil to get the number one contendership, and that the Bella Twins would like to come back and win the tag team titles together because they've never held them, obviously.
Brother.
I could give two shits, a rat's ass or a flying fuck if the Bellas actually show up this weekend.
Right.
If I'm being brutally honest.
Sure.
To be fair, I really don't want to see the Bella Twins. Nikki Bella ruined WrestleMania a few years ago. I don't care what anybody says.
All right. So Santos Escobar, after winning the match, I thought a really cool moment, you know, breaking character a bit because he's a heel, but like had his 9-year-old son come out with him and bask in the moment of his dad winning the Cruiserweight Championship. I thought it was great. The fact that Escobar, though, during the match had to use Legado del Fantasma to help him win the match. Complete heel thing. I don't mind for moments like that they will break character just to, you know, like, you know what? It's an emotional moment. Going through a match like that, putting your body on the line like that, and like, you know, what's it all for? It's for his family.
Now, let me ask you this question. Do you think that after this Thursday that we've seen the end or the last of Santos Escobar and Jordan Devlin? Do you think that that's it? They just had their little one-off thing and then they're just going to go their merry little way?
Yes, that's the end of it.
Can you see them maybe giving Jordan Devlin the NXT UK Cruiserweight Championship since now the NXT has the Cruiserweight title?
Well, you just asked. That's two different questions.
I mean,
you just asked me if I see them going with Santos Escobar again. I said no.
Okay. So, all right. With that question, let me ask you another question. Do you see possibly them doing an NXT UK Cruiserweight Championship?
No. I think it's unnecessary. I think, you know, with something like this, would you want to use this to elevate NXT? Black and Gold brand has a bigger reach than NXT UK, but do you use this match or something like this to raise his profile in NXT UK? Do you, and you know, have him start going up the ladder to maybe eventually go against Walter? I mean, NXT UK, obviously they haven't really gone full-fledged, like where, you know, we're not getting NXT UK takeovers again yet.
Right.
And they're not building things for, like, Walter right now does not have like an opponent in the UK officially. He's gone through everybody. He's had the title for 2 years. So They need somebody new to go against him.
Which is funny because I think that segues into what the next match is. And that was the NXT championship match between Karrion Kross and Finn Balor.
Sure.
Fantastic match. I enjoyed that one. No surprise, Karrion Kross did go over. I mean, he didn't actually lose the title. They had to take it from him because of his shoulder injury. Him and Balor had a great match. Told a great story. I'm glad that one thing that really stood out for me that I'm very glad that they didn't do was that Scarlett did not get involved in the match to help Karrion Kross win. Karrion Kross did go over on Finn Balor, so I'm happy that he won the title.
So Finn Balor, in their hype package, talked about bringing Karrion Kross to deep water, and he was going to drown in the deep water. He brought Kross to the deep water, and Kross still won. Just shows you, like, as far as like the guts and determination and all those things, what as far as character goes for Karrion Kross. I enjoyed that as far as character development and character building within the storytelling of this match.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that he won on his own and you know, Balor, if I'm remembering right, kept on working over the arm.
Yep.
Over the arm, and just, you know, there was a point where you're like, is Kross going to tap out here?
Mm-hmm.
But storytelling was great from when they started building this to that hype package. Now, again, I talked last week, and I still believe this. NXT, I would prefer them to do a better job when they're hyping their matches, to actually have the people live there. Before, when NXT was taped ahead of time, I understand. You know, you're taping a bunch of episodes right in a row, but you're going live right now. There's no reason that you should not have your top stars in your main event, co-main event, not showing up. Mm-hmm. During the go home show, and they should have had them show up, but they didn't. With all that being said, though, hype package was awesome and fed very well into the story they told.
Agreed. 100% agreed. But the only reason I bring it up is because one of the names that's been floating around that could be challenging Walter for the NXT UK Championship is one Finn Balor.
And he talked about that, and how it was talked about that it was going to be Finn Balor as NXT champion and Walter as NXT UK champion, headlining Takeover.
Yeah.
So we didn't get that, but you know what? With the NXT brands, they've kind of been like, they allow people to hop around a bit. And, you know, once they build up the other NXT brands in India, Japan, and all over the world, like, eventually what they're trying to do is set up this network of NXT brands so that they could end up having like some ultimate NXT tournament in the future. And I think that's several years away.
Oh yeah. Easily.
But that's what their sights are on. And it's clear that that's what they're going to do. But having Finn Balor go to face Walter, because again, Walter has beaten everybody over the last 2 years.
Literally everybody.
Who does he have left to go against? Finn Balor going over there makes complete sense. Yep. So I can't wait to see that match, especially after we saw what he and Ciampa did, after what we saw with he and Dragunov did. There are a lot of things to look forward to as far as a match like that goes.
Yep.
All right, and then we had the main event, which was an unsanctioned match, and I loved all the hype that they did that day specifically, where they had security guards surrounding both men to make sure that they didn't touch each other. Mm-hmm. And it was Kyle O'Reilly against Adam Cole, baby! This match lived exactly up to the hype that we had for this, and the person who needed to win did win.
Yep, I agree.
They beat the holy hell out of each other.
It was such a great match. I enjoyed that match more than I thought it was going to. They've had matches in the past when they were working together in New Japan and Ring of Honor. You knew that they were going to deliver. I mean, Adam Cole has been delivering in a lot of matches. He's got multiple 5-star matches since he's been part of NXT. Kyle O'Reilly is one of those guys. He's kind of very underlooked and underappreciated because of the fact that he's kind of like a quiet dude and he's mainly like a tag team performer and everything like that. But man, did they have a fucking match on Thursday. Whew. I just,
if the Walter Ciampa match didn't happen, this would have been my match of Takeover. But these guys really delivered. And when you do an unsanctioned match, it's like, make it look like you're beating the hell out of each other. And, you know, they really did. They really did. I thought this was just overall fantastic storytelling. And the part where Adam Cole, you know, basically had O'Reilly finished off, but because he added Tism on the referee just before, referee was knocked out. He didn't get the pin. That's his fault. And, you know, the idea that, like, O'Reilly just, like, he looked dead to rights and just rose like a phoenix and finished off the man who kind of poisoned his soul for the last, you know, 3 or 4 years.
Yep.
Yeah.
I was thoroughly entertained. I really was. And they were telling a great story beforehand. They told a great story in the match. That's how it's supposed to be delivered, is the way Adam Cole and Kyle O'Reilly did it. That is textbook right there.
And when we talk about WWE booking and doing things like, you're like, well, that was predictable. It was predictable who is going to win this match. But it wasn't bad predictable.
Oh, no.
This was the predictable where it's like, this needs to happen. Similar to what I'm saying about Cesaro needing to win.
Yeah.
It's predictable, in my view, that he's going to win at WrestleMania. That doesn't stop you from being entertained by what they're doing. But, like, if it's the predictable where, like,
oh, I'm shocked that happened. Like, everybody knew John Cena was going to beat the Nexus at SummerSlam 2010.
Even after he took the DDT. And
yeah, everybody knew. Because roses are red, violets are blue. No matter how many finishers you hit him with, Cena will kick out at
or even DDT him on the concrete. He kicks out at 2.
He runs into the phone booth and becomes Super Cena.
By the way, just a quick aside, they did release the trailer for the movie where John Cena is like a superstar or like a superhero. I forgot what the heck the name of it is.
The Suicide Squad.
Suicide Squad. Yes. How could I forget it was Suicide Squad?
I'm actually really excited for that because not only is Super Cena going to be in there, but so is Idris Elba.
So I'm just going to throw this out there. Like, there were some parts of the trailer I liked, and then there were some parts where I was like, kind of makes me question whether or not I'm going to like this movie. I didn't like some of the design, and I didn't like some of the color choices, and I don't know if they're exactly the color choices from the comic books, because, like, I enjoy that genre of movie, but I'm not super into the comics, but, like, some of the designs, I'm like, ugh. Like, I thought the faceplate on Cena looked a little silly, quite honestly. But some of the lines Cena had in this trailer were fantastic. He actually can deliver, you know, decently as an actor. So,
and that was one of the big things, because, like, if you remember him in, like, the original Marine movies, those movies were fucking terrible. Some of the worst movies I've ever seen in my life, and I've seen The Room.
That is a great movie.
It is the greatest shit movie of all time. I don't care what anybody
says. It is the Clash of 13 Champions.
It is the Clash of the Champions 13 of movies. Yes, I will not argue that. I will say this: The Room was better than Strange Wilderness, and that was a dumpster fire that got collided with a fucking train wreck.
Yeah,
but I'm actually excited to see him too. I want to see Suicide Squad, and it's because that John Cena is in it, and because of Stringer Bell. I need Stringer Bell.
Well, and we also have Margot Robbie coming back.
She's in it too. She was fantastic as Harley Quinn in the Suicide Squad movie. The Birds of Prey movie was.
She could still be awesome in the Birds of Prey movie, and
the movie was fucking terrible.
It doesn't matter if the movie is terrible. I've seen terrible movies where people have actually turned in good performances. Yeah, it's just a bad movie.
She was shit in that. That whole movie was just shit, which is sad because what's her face was in that movie. White Men Can't Jump. Rosie Perez.
Okay.
She was awesome in it. She was the only really good one in there.
Okay. All right.
But
all right. Moving right along. Up to our WrestleMania predictions. So night 1 of WrestleMania. I think this match, it might start the show. Braun Strowman versus Shane McMahon.
Now, I just want you to know that I'm not going to have any predictions for either tonight or tomorrow that are remotely similar to the 20 years ago, exactly 20 years ago, when I picked Duke the Dumpster Droese to win the Gimmick Battle Royal. That was the worst decision I've ever done in predicting any kind of a wrestling show in my life. Because Duke Droese had no right winning that match, and I should just be thankful he wasn't the first person eliminated.
And speaking of that match, there is a thing that we are going to starting this Monday that specifically has to do with the Gimmick Battle Royal match. So make sure you stay tuned on all of our social media pages.
By the time the Iron Sheik gets in the ring, it's going to
stop.
Damn. You know, that's my favorite line.
Okay. I tell them to wait till Monday, and you're trying to give it away. You just gave it away.
Come on.
I tell them to wait till Monday.
Come on. It was like Goldberg and Hogan for the WCW World Heavyweight title. I'm giving away for them for free television when it should be paid for.
Quite literally, I tell you, we're going to start this on Monday, and you...
I had a brainless moment. What do you want from me? It's not just a gimmick, Jay. It's a lifestyle. Just like how I completely fucked up in the tournament this week, too.
So we got Braun Strowman going against Shane McMahon in a steel cage match.
You know what's crazy about that? I have no idea. I can see it going either way.
Okay.
I think that I do ultimately think that Braun Strowman goes over on Shane McMahon, though.
I agree. Braun goes over on Shane. Shane's going to try to get Elias and Jackson Riker to help him out win this match.
I'm sorry. I gotta get my Nicole's predictions.
She predicts Braun is going to win this match. So, because who in their right mind would pick Shane McMahon? Shane is there to do something stupid that will get the oh shit moment of night 1.
She said Strowman just because the storyline has to end.
See?
Okay.
All right. So then we have our tag team turmoil match to decide who will be the number 1 contender for the women's titles for night 2, which is Carmella and Billie Kay, Lana and Naomi, Dana Brooke and Mandy Rose, the Riot Squad, Natty and Tamina, and the possibility of adding the Bella Twins into this.
Nicole has Natty and Tamina winning this thing.
I mean, it certainly seems like that's what they were setting up yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
You know what? I agree with her. Natty and Tamina should win this match, but if the Bellas somehow find their way in, the Bellas will win this match.
I'm going to go with the Riot Squad.
Okay.
I think that they, like I said, they're the only legitimate tag team that wasn't just kind of thrown together the way it was. I think that this is their chance and their opportunity, and I think that they're gonna get the win tonight in the tag team turmoil.
Okay.
That and the fact that I'm just a fan of both of them.
Okay. Chris Brown saying Lana and Naomi winning. All right. Like it.
I like it.
All right. AJ Styles and Omos versus the New Day for the Raw Men's Tag Team Championships.
Nicole has the New Day retaining the championships.
Okay.
I am going with the fact that AJ Styles, in just a hair over 5 years, becomes the 309th person to win the Grand Slam.
I agree with you. And I think part of this is going to... I don't know how much time AJ Styles has left on a contract. I think they're hoping to build up Omos as something that... To be something cool that will be a spectacle for later.
Mm-hmm.
Putting him with AJ is the perfect person to try to do this.
Agreed.
Try to teach him, the ropes of the business, but also try to teach him how to actually wrestle.
I will say this, like I said,
and
earlier,
get over.
I like I said earlier in the podcast, I cannot wait to see AJ Styles and Kofi Kingston go at it in this match because it's going to be spectacular.
But I completely agree. AJ and Omos win this match, and pretty cool to have win a championship in your first match at WrestleMania. So,
because there's not even a lot of people who actually won a championship in their first match, period. The fact that
got,
it's going to
like,
happen at
Paige
WrestleMania. I mean,
the night after.
I mean, Santino won the Intercontinental Championship, getting taken from the crowd.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
all right. Chris Brown saying AJ has a couple years left. So, I mean, they definitely could in the next couple of years have them be kind of like dominant champions. And then at some point they split up, and then AJ and Omos have, you know, a big match at WrestleMania or SummerSlam or something along those lines.
Yeah.
So, all right. This could possibly be the first match of the night again to set tone for everything. Cesaro versus Seth Rollins. I've already stated my case. Cesaro is going to win this match, in my view.
Clean sweep.
Lock.
Clean sweep.
And this match, if given the proper time, could be match of the night, could be incredible.
I think Cesaro is going to win this match. I would love. I just think that he deserves his victory. Nothing against Seth Rollins, because Seth Rollins is a tremendous performer.
He doesn't need the victory.
He doesn't need it. Cesaro needs this W more than Seth Rollins does. And if Cesaro does go over in this match, I wouldn't be surprised if he was one of the next ones up to get a Universal title match, whether it's Roman Reigns or Daniel Bryan or Edge or whoever wins it.
Right. All right. Your favorite, this is going to be your match of the night. Miz and Morrison going against Bad Bunny and Damian Priest.
I'm going to tell you this right now. I could be a lot more upset with this match if it was just Bad Bunny versus The Miz. The fact that they actually are adding Damian Priest, this is a good move by WWE. You got a new up-and-coming star. I can't really say young because he's my age. But you have a new star that's coming into his own. He's got a lot of people on his side in the locker room. I think that this is perfect. This was the perfect pairing for both Bad Bunny and Damian Priest, because you get the eyeballs on the screen from Bad Bunny, because people know who Bad Bunny is, although I didn't know that he existed until they announced that he had a Booker T song that I didn't even know Booker T was in the song, if it wasn't for the fact that Booker T stood behind him like this. But this is a good way to do it, because Damian Priest has got I think that Damian Priest is going to benefit a lot from this match more than anybody else in this match. With that being said, they're getting this victory, and Bad Bunny is going to get the victory, and he's going to pin The Miz.
I agree. Bad Bunny and Damian Priest are going to win this match. I almost feel like Damian Priest is going to get the pin. Bad Bunny is going to have a moment that's awesome. See what I did?
Yes.
But I feel like give the pinfall moment to the guy who is going to be there come Monday, the next Monday after that, and the next Monday after that. Again, I don't love them having a celebrity, in this spot, but okay, if it does something for Damian Priest,
right?
I'll take it. And hats off to the Miz and Morrison, who have been complete company guys the last year and a half, where it's like they've lost an awful lot. Even though didn't they win the tag team championships last year?
They won the tag team titles
in the triple threat ladder match.
That wasn't at WrestleMania. It was the next one, because remember how I think it was the Miz popped right before WrestleMania. So it was the triple threat match between, I think it was Kofi, John Morrison, and one of the Usos.
Oh, right.
No, because Biggie had it. He was in the next one.
Sure.
But the Miz and Morrison won the tag team titles.
Okay. Anyway, Miz and Morrison, they've been losing a lot, and taking it like a champ, and Miz a couple of years ago losing to Shane McMahon, but accepting the fact that all right, I will have the oh shit moment of WrestleMania this year. It's probably going to be the Miz taking the pin. It might be Bad Bunny pinning him.
Yeah.
But I mean, I guess that would be the payoff to this storyline that they've been doing. And uh, hip hip hop hop, is that debuting?
Hey, hop hop.
Hey, hop hop, is that debuting tonight? Like the whole. I know they've showed snippets. I think it is.
I think it's going to happen around the same time somebody makes their way to the ring at WrestleMania, as
Okay.
well as the end of the documentary that Sami Zayn is recording, as well as the last 1,004 move on the list of 1,004 holds by Chris Jericho, as well as the culmination of 2 gauntlet matches with Kofi Kingston and Seth Rollins.
You know, I'm just going to throw this out there. We've already made our prediction for the Cesaro match. This, to me, is the only prediction that really does matter. Over under 15 swings.
I'm going 17. He's going to hit 17, so yes, I'll take the over.
You're taking the over?
Yes.
All right. You know, it's WrestleMania. Go big or go home. I agree. I think he's going to go over 20.
Ooh.
But
17 just because 17 is one of my numbers.
Yeah. All right.
I wouldn't be surprised if he swung him 37 times.
Well, I vaguely remember, and I think it was like when they did Slam City, where you know, they kind of like were a little more kid friendly.
Yeah.
But they had Cesaro. I think it might have been to Daniel Bryan, swing him around like it was like 43 times. It was ridiculous. Kind of awesome though. So,
yeah.
All right. So Chris Brown again agreeing. Good Rabbit and Pretty Star winning that joke of a match. Pity Mizanin and Morrison are going to be put through tonight. What they're going to be put through tonight. Yeah. I can't see all of it. So, yeah. All right. So then we have our WWE Championship match. Bobby Lashley versus Drew McIntyre. It's been a short, and I have not been a fan of this build, but I am looking forward to this match like crazy. I think these guys are going to beat the holy heck out of each other.
Nicole says Drew McIntyre so he can have his WrestleMania moment from last year because he won the title for the first time at last year's WrestleMania, which had a record attendance of 0.
One fan.
Oh, that's right. They had the one fan. I like that. So she thinks that McIntyre is going to win because of the fact that there's going to be fans in attendance.
Yep.
Where are you going to go? I'm going to go.
I agree with that, honestly. They should have kept the title on McIntyre so he could go against Sheamus. Mm-hmm. But I think they just want the people to cheer for Drew. And if he was already champion, the cheers would not be as loud.
Right.
So
I'm just telling you right now, Jay, I really think this is a stupid thing that WWE is going to do, where they had the title on McIntyre, had him lose it to The Miz. The Miz loses it to Lashley 8 days later. It's just so McIntyre can come back and win it in front of the crowd. If that is the route that they are going to go, this could come back and bite them in the ass. Because this is just Vince McMahon shoving Drew McIntyre down the fans' throats. And whenever it comes to a situation like this, i.e. John Cena and Roman Reigns, for example, people are going to turn on him. It might not be tonight, but at some point, the fans could turn on Drew McIntyre. And with him winning the title tonight the way they are, I could see it being a situation where the fans do turn on him. I'm going with Bobby Lashley, though.
Okay.
Because I want a surprise for this weekend, and
I would like Bobby Lashley.
I would love for Bobby Lashley to win the match,
but I just don't see it.
I think that's the because everybody gets criticizes WWE because they're too predictable. And then a couple of years ago when Shane McMahon beat The Miz at WrestleMania, that was just one of the big swerves from WrestleMania 35. Nobody saw it coming, and I was like, this is actually pretty cool. I like the way they booked this. The fact that the way that it's being booked looks like it is going to be McIntyre that wins the title from Bobby Lashley. So I think that this is the match where we get the swerve. I see Bobby Lashley winning this match. Now,
is Isaiah Scott going to help him?
No.
See what I did, though?
Yeah, I did see what you did there. But I could see Cedric Alexander and Shelton Benjamin getting involved in this match tonight in some form.
Okay.
But I'm going with Bobby Lashley just because I want to do something different.
Yeah.
And I like this. I really, no disrespect to Drew, I want to see Bobby Lashley keep the title. because he deserves to keep the title.
I agree. All right. Sasha Banks and Bianca Belair is the main event in night one, and we made our points known about this. It's like when you're a main event, you should be like one of the bigger storylines or like one where it like feels important. And as much as Bianca, won the Royal Rumble and didn't waste a lot of time deciding who she was going to go against, I just think that this buildup has been paint by numbers and there's been nothing special about it. And again, not saying they're not going to have a good match. I just haven't enjoyed this build. I am not invested in this storyline at all. I don't like both of them are saying they're the best. Okay. But I don't have a lot invested in either of them. I think that they're both incredible talents, but I'm not. We'll see where they go.
When Bianca Belair won the Royal Rumble this year, I was very happy for her because it was WWE. Because the biggest thing that the fans have been complaining about over the last few years is how they just keep beating a dead horse of the 4 horsewomen of WWE constantly being in all the title pictures. How many times is Charlotte going to be a world champion? She's probably going to surpass her dad before she even hits 40, which I'm still convinced that it's going to happen. So the fact that Bianca Belair got the victory and is now going to be fighting Sasha Banks, it's going in a direction where they're actually going to build up a new star for the women's division. And I think that's a good move that they're going to be doing. I love the fact that Bianca is the one that's getting this opportunity. She's a tremendous talent. She's got a lot of people that praise her and everything. She's young. She's athletic. She's been pretty much the total package. I think she's going to end up winning this match. Do her and Sasha deserve the main event? Not necessarily in my book. And it's nothing against either one of them as a performer. But the fact is that A, you have the Royal Rumble winner for the men's side main eventing tomorrow night as Edge is in that one. And it's going to be for the SmackDown main title. Now, Raw's main title should be in the main event, or the best story, like you said, should be in the main event of night one. Bianca, the fact that both nights are going to be main evented by a SmackDown match kind of makes me feel like, yes, it just kind of goes hand in hand with the fact that we were saying that Raw was just so poorly put together for WrestleMania this year that SmackDown overshadowed it and is taking over the spot in the main event of both.
All right, so Chris Brown chiming in saying that during Ding Dong Hello, that when, if Becky is the person in that, they're going to try to find a way to insert her into this match. I could kind of see that, but I don't like the idea of having 2 triple threat matches made after, like, you have somebody win the Royal Rumble. They're supposed to be the main event, right?
Yeah.
And, if that was the decision why Bianca and Sasha was the main event for this, okay, I accept that. She won the Royal Rumble. She gets to be the main event. I wish they would have done a better job of building up the storyline. With all that being said, if on the talk show specifically, Becky says, oh, by the way, when I gave up the Raw Women's title, I exchanged it for the Money in the Bank, and I'm putting myself in the match tonight.
I'd be on board with it.
At least that way, storyline, it would make sense. I'd prefer to see them with the storyline, again, as lackluster as it's been in my view, finish out the storyline with them having a one-on-one match instead of having 2 triple threat matches, for your main event.
Yeah,
but storyline-wise, that would actually make sense instead of Becky just going out there and
I'm
demanding.
I'm no longer pregnant, and I had the kids, so hey, let me be in the title match.
So I think it could be something that they can do, but this is the match I'm probably most conflicted about on who I think is going to win, but I'm going to go with Bianca Belair.
It's a clean sweep.
I can understand a way where Sasha wins. She hasn't had the title that long, but building, a new generation of stars and give this moment to Bianca on the biggest stage of them all. And if they want to send the fans home happy, the real sending the fans home happy would probably end up being Becky Lynch in the match and returning and winning the championship.
Yep.
So if Becky is inserted in the match, I'm putting Becky as the winner. But if Becky's not in the match, Bianca Belair.
Yep. And if I had wheels, I'd be a wagon.
Yeah. All right. So that's night one. All right. So night two, we have the Women's Tag Team Championship match. Nia Jax and Shayna versus To Be Determined. So as far as To Be Determined goes, I don't know. I feel like Nia and Shayna still have some life in them as a team. So I'm going to say that they retain, unless the Bella Twins are going against them.
Nicole, because she said Natty and Tamina, is saying that Natty and Tamina are going to be dropping the tag team titles.
They're going to win?
They're going to win the titles from Shayna and Nia. But I think it's because her and I are on the same page where we're just so tired of seeing Nia Jax constantly over and over and over again that we just don't want to see her on the TV at all. But I'm actually going to say that the Riot Squad win the tag team titles.
Okay.
Tomorrow night.
All right.
Mod stuff. That was actually a South Park. That was actually a line from South Park.
Yeah. All right. So we have for the U.S. title, Matt Riddle defending against Sheamus.
You want to talk about my heart being torn in so many different directions? Do you want to know what it's like? Do you know what it's like that I'm actually torn, like mentally and emotionally torn between two people fighting in a match at WrestleMania? Because you got my boy Sheamus, who I love very much, he's my favorite wrestler right now, and you got Bro, and Bro is the bro of the bros. And I enjoy Matt Riddle. He is a tremendous in-ring performer. I'm entertained with him, and every time he gets in the ring, he's better than he was the last time I saw him. His match with Mustafa Ali on Monday was fantastic. And, you know,
I need to ask this question. I'm sorry to interrupt you. Has he bettered his first match?
Bruh. No. Nothing
outside of that first match, though, he's gotten better in the ring.
Yes. I keep wanting to put my phone up, but her predictions are in there. I'm an idiot. Let me tell you something right now, Jay. I looked at Matt Riddle's victory against Cassius Ohno at NXT Takeover. I want to say it was War Games, the first one they did, or the second one, whatever it was. When Cassius Ohno got stuck between the bottom rope and the fucking mat. I don't care. I'm telling you, WWE doctored that fucking video. I remember specifically that he got stuck between the bottom rope and the mat. You can't tell me any differently. He got stuck. But I look at that kind of like how Clay Buchholz threw a no-hitter in his first career start, if I'm not mistaken.
I think it was.
Or it was just like Hideo Nomo getting throwing a no-hitter in his first start with the Red Sox.
Veritek.
And Jason Veritek caught it, but like Nomo threw the no-hitter in his first start with the Red Sox. And I will forever love Hideo Nomo, by the way. And where it's like, yeah, you're not going to top that, but it's like, here we go anyway. I think that Sheamus and Riddle have a chance to really steal the show tomorrow. I think that they're both going to beat the holy hell out of each other. I as much, and this is really going to hurt me to say this, as much as I want to see Sheamus win this match tomorrow night, I'm going with Riddle, bro. Because that is one hell of a feather to have in your cap as a victory, retaining the U.S. title against a guy the caliber of Sheamus, who should already be a Grand Slam champion, but is not.
All right, so as far as this match goes, I'm interested to see what their different styles, how this is going to work out. Riddle, that dude, his motor is like, he's a high motor guy.
Yeah.
And Sheamus, not so much. Like, I'm wondering if, like, during the match, like, Sheamus is going to get gassed.
Yeah.
Just when Riddle is doing his thing where he's going, like, Mach 20. With all that being said, I think this is going to be a slugfest, hard-hitting affair, and I think in the end, Sheamus wins this match because you know what? They've been treating Riddle like a freaking joke as U.S. champion, keeping on losing non-title matches and winning title matches. Here, he has not had a non-title match against Sheamus. And the fella has been taking some L's lately against the WWE champion and or former WWE champion. So, you know what? I'd like to see Sheamus move forward as U.S. champ and bring back some relevancy to that belt. So I'm going to go with Sheamus.
Nicole also went with Matt Riddle, bro. I hope we get a Matt Riddle, Rob Van Dam moment tomorrow, either today or tomorrow.
Yeah, coming out of the room with the Godfather with the smoke.
Oh, God, that would be my markout moment for next week.
Yeah!
Yeah!
All right, so we got Big E versus Apollo in a Nigerian drug match. I think Apollo is going to win this match. One of the things, you know, we've seen Roman Reigns dictate his terms to Adam Pearce as far as what he's going to do and when he's going to do it.
Yep.
Yet here you got Big E, who's the Intercontinental Champion, and is having the terms of the match he's having dictated to him. And if you're going to you know, you've created this new character for Apollo, you know, I think he should win this match.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
And I'm looking forward to this match. I think it's like these dudes, we've seen them in the ring a couple times, can throw hands, and adding this stipulation, I think is going to really take them to the next level. I enjoyed seeing Big E get his haircut and talking about how that's the place he needs to go to. And the other thing about this specifically, which tells me that Apollo is going to win, the match is taking place in Big E's hometown. And what does WWE like to do more than anything?
You the hometown
lose in your hometown, and Vince McMahon does that to keep the person humble.
Yes,
as far as like being in front of their hometown, you don't get the hometown victory.
And every once in a while, he will throw the curveball in there and have the person
like The Rock won.
The Rock won in Miami. Naomi won the women's championship in Orlando, where she is from. So I mean, it's possible that Big E can win.
Anything's possible.
It just asks KJ and Hondo.
Yeah.
Thanks, Mayor Menino.
All right. All right. Did you make your pick?
I am also going to go with Apollo Crews. I think this is an opportunity for him to really showcase himself, and I think that's what's going to end up happening. I'm going with Apollo Crews over Big E. If Apollo, especially since Apollo Crews lost to Big E at Fastlane, and then he's getting the title match now. What is it? A
Nigerian drug match, and Monsef is saying, I've never felt offended of a match like the Tomorrow match. Yes. So basically, like when I heard like Nigerian drug match and like the way Apollo was trying to talk about it, how it was something ancestral, and like, you know, when you kind of had a blood feud with somebody, this is how you ended it. They could have come up with a much better name for this.
Nicole's going with Big E, by the way.
Okay. All right. So then we have Kevin Owens and his conspiracy movie going against or Sami Zayn going against Kevin Owens. Cupcakes versus movies.
Let me just say this right now. As much as I can't stand Kevin Owens, and if you are a fan of this podcast, you know my disdain for Kevin Owens is very, very deep and dark. And with that being said, I'm excited for this match. I really am. And it kind of goes with the fact that, you know, I understand that Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn fought 8,436 times before, and we've even gotten this is the last time we'll ever see these two fight, and then 3 weeks later they're wrestling again on Monday Night Raw. I'm in it. They've been friends for, I think it was like 15 years that Sami Zayn said that the two of them have been friends for. They've been wrestling the scenes the entire time. They work together all the way up from the Ring of Honor, the independent scenes and Ring of Honor, NXT, now to the main roster. I want to see this match. I want to see the two of them, the best friends, go up against each other at WrestleMania because they're going to deliver.
Not Chuck Taylor and Trent Barrett.
WWE somehow found a way to shit bomb this match that I was so looking forward to by having that piece of shit, no good, fucktard Logan Paul be a part of this.
Paul is going to knock out Sami Zayn.
Yep.
That's how. This is how Owens is going to win the Cupcakes and Conspiracies match.
I like that, Cupcakes and Conspiracies. That's fucking fantastic. And never mind, I'm going to be nice. I'm not going to go any other route. I do think that Kevin Owens is going to win as well, and I do think that Logan Paul is going to get the hockey assist. See, because they're both Canadians, so he gets the hockey assist.
Yeah.
And
in the Cupcakes and Conspiracies match.
Nicole, and her exact wording was Owens with assist from Logan Paul, just a feeling.
Right. More than a feeling.
More than a feeling.
All right. Randy Orton and The Fiend. This has been a long built-up storyline. And if you want to be serious, this goes back several years. They had a WrestleMania match
atrocious WrestleMania match. The match itself wasn't bad.
It was just the gimmick.
The bullshit that they did for that.
Now,
I'm going to laugh.
To be fair, it was Bray Wyatt who came up with that gimmick. I give them credit for trying something different, but it just...
I give them an A for effort. Yeah,
A for effort, but F for it just being shitty.
An F for
or an F for like if you're trying for a good match, overall, like that gimmick just kind of like
F for delivery.
Yeah. Yes. Delivery and presentation.
And now I know that you said that Cesaro is your lock for this weekend for WrestleMania. I'm gonna tell you right now, the Fiend winning tomorrow. Not only is he gonna win, that is the brainless lock of 2021. The Fiend will beat Randy Orton tomorrow night.
Okay.
As much as I could see Randy Orton win this match, and like they said, if you lose to Randy Orton, you're not getting buried because Randy Orton is a GOAT. And at some point in the foreseeable future, Randy Orton will basically kick somebody out of my Rushmore because I love Randy Orton. And as much as I'd like to see Randy Orton win, the Fiend's winning this match. We haven't seen the Fiend in a wrestling match as a wrestler since him and Randy Orton had that Inferno match right before the Royal Rumble where Randy Orton set the Fiend on fire. We've seen the Fiend get physical a couple times since with Fastlane and the Monday Night Raws and everything like that. The Fiend's winning this match. I can't wait to see what kind of retardation, fucked up bullshit thing they're going to do with the Fiend for his entrance because no matter what, Bray Wyatt is, since WrestleMania 30, he has had one of the top entrances every single year.
Yeah, when they had the Fireflies play him in, that was fantastic.
Yeah.
I agree, Fiend wins this match, but one of the things Alexa specifically said, Randy Orton is going to die. And with that, does that mean that we're going to
witness a murder?
Is Randy Orton going to take a few months off after this?
I can see that.
And is he going to come back different? I know that that they did that, the story where he was in the Wyatt family.
Mm-hmm.
It was clear the whole time Randy Orton was
there to destroy the
Wyatt family.
Yeah.
This time, is he going to, die and drink the Kool-Aid of Bray Wyatt and become part of whether it's a tag team with the Fiend or something else beyond this? I think as far as that goes, that would be the most interesting thing they could do with this. What are they doing with Randy Orton after this?
I could see him taking time off because he's been doing this for WWE for the better part of 2 decades. And
the next big thing they have is SummerSlam, as much as pay-per-views are pay-per-views and fun.
They can. And as much as like you and I have talked about them overcooking this rivalry, they can continue this on until SummerSlam. But then again, it's Randy Orton. Randy Orton can fight anybody, and it makes sense.
Right. So I agree the Fiend wins, but, again, what is Alexa saying? He will die. Like, I don't know. It should be, that to me is the most interesting peg as far as this goes. And Alexa obviously is going to get involved in some way. She's been the thing storyline-wise that keeps on distracting Orton and keeps on having things happen to him. So, I could see a stipulation being added to the match. Like, usually you escalate as far as stipulations. I don't see how you could escalate beyond Inferno match, but, I don't know. I don't know what thing they could add. I would say maybe Falls Count Anywhere.
Hell in a Cell.
They have a pay-per-view for that.
Yeah, that stopped them from having The Undertaker and Shane McMahon fighting in that at WrestleMania. And Triple H and The Undertaker, for that matter.
But that stopped Batista and Triple H from having, Batista's final match in it, because Vince McMahon's like, no, we don't do that. So he finally like going, oh, we have a pay-per-view like that. Maybe we shouldn't kill the gimmick by doing that gimmick in other times.
They could do it in a Punjabi prison match.
Sure. I mean, Orton's been in one before.
A Firefly Funhouse Punjabi prison match.
Right.
Inside of a Hell in a Cell. Inside of an elimination chamber. Inside of a steel cage. Set on fire.
Right. All right. Then we have Asuka versus Rhea Ripley for the Raw Women's Championship.
WWE has a really good opportunity here to really, really establish the young stars in their women's division. They have it with Bianca Belair being in the main event tonight for the SmackDown Women's Championship against Sasha Banks. Whether or not Becky's in the match, this is an opportunity for Bianca Belair to step up and be the new face of the women's division, or be somebody who is actually one of the faces and a legitimate contender. The same thing with Rhea Ripley. The WWE has a lot of high hopes and expectations for Rhea Ripley. That's the reason why she got moved from NXT, where she was the biggest star in the women's division, to now the main roster. And you're not only doing that, but her first match on the main roster is at WrestleMania against arguably your biggest star in the women's division, in Asuka, fighting for the Raw Women's Championship. You have a chance here, and I think the WWE is going to do the smart move. I know that's very hard for me to swallow and digest, the fact that WWE is actually going to do the right thing. But Rhea Ripley is taking the title from Asuka tomorrow.
I agree. Obviously, they had other plans. Those plans ended up getting thrown down the crapper when they decided to pull Charlotte from the storyline, the various storylines that they were doing. Allegedly, according to Andrade, he was saying that WWE believed that Charlotte was pregnant, and that's why she was pulled from the WrestleMania card. Whether or not that's true, but either way, Charlotte's been pulled from the card, and Asuka was left without an opponent, and they had to come up with something on the fly. And I know that they had been hyping Rhea Ripley along the way. Rhea Ripley, technically had a main event match at Survivor Series, but that was part of a team. This is her first single match on the main roster, and they had an opportunity. I mean, she did WrestleMania last year, but as NXT champion. They had an opportunity to have her elevate by beating Charlotte, but they didn't do that. This year, they do go forward, and they do have Rhea Ripley beat Asuka and become the Raw Women's Champion. So her first, singles match as a woman on the Raw roster is going to be winning championship a la Paige several years ago.
See, I don't have a problem with Rhea Ripley doing it this way. She had a chance, too, because she was in the Royal Rumble this year. She was one of the last ones in the Royal Rumble this year. She could have easily won the Royal Rumble, but they went with Bianca Belair. So I could see Rhea Ripley winning tonight or tomorrow night would not surprise me in the least bit. That's why I'm going with Rhea. And I believe it was Chris Brown said that Asuka needs surgery, so it would be the perfect time for her to drop the title. And if you need somebody to kind of step in there, even if Becky Lynch doesn't come back and go to Raw, Charlotte would be right in the wings, because if you think about it, that's the match that Rhea Ripley needs for her redemption if she becomes the Raw Women's Champion is if she gets that victory against Charlotte Flair, redeeming her loss from last year's WrestleMania where she dropped the NXT title to Charlotte.
As far as Becky goes, I think they will have her on SmackDown because if they plan on touring SmackDown coming up, I don't know if they're officially married, but her and Seth Rollins is on SmackDown. So
yeah.
So if they start touring, I think they'd keep them together. So, all right. And the main event, Roman Reigns versus Daniel Bryan versus Edge after their outstanding promo work and building of this storyline where, both you and I are in agreement. Not a fan of throwing a third person into this match. Edge won the Royal Rumble. He should get it his own match, but the way they did it with the storyline, Edge costing Daniel Bryan the title with Roman Reigns, Bryan getting Roman Reigns to tap out, but referee didn't see it. So at least storyline wise, they made it make sense on why Bryan's here. The way that they all sold this was great, and I'm invested in seeing this.
Now, when this happened 7 years ago, where they kind of put Daniel Bryan into the World Heavyweight title picture when it was Batista versus Randy Orton, and where he had the match where he beat Triple H to start off WrestleMania 30 to get the spot in the main event of WrestleMania. It made sense then. It makes less sense now to thrust Daniel Bryan into this match, although the memes that have been kind of been attached to all of this, where they're just putting Daniel Bryan in just random triple threats, is fantastic, and I love the internet, and it remains is the only undefeated thing other than Mother Nature and Father Time. I'm intrigued by this because I know that Daniel Bryan's going to bring whatever he can to the table because he is one of the best performers in WWE. Edge deserves this opportunity because technically he didn't lose the title. He had to, relinquish it due to a career-ending injury.
What was believed. And I like the fact that there are kind of the parallel storylines of Daniel Bryan thought his career was over. Edge thought his career was over.
And Roman Reigns technically thought his career was over because of leukemia.
So, but
I really love the fact that the three guys are delivering the way that they are. Last night's promos were just the icing on the cake for how this rivalry and this matchup has been set up. I'm looking forward to this. I'd love to see how this is all going to turn out. Who do you got? I would love for you, Nicole, and I to all be on like different pages, but I don't think it's going to happen.
I think I'm going to shock everybody here. I'm going with Roman Reigns.
I had a feeling you would.
I'm going with Roman Reigns because he still has more stuff to do as this character. If he doesn't keep the title, how can he still call himself the head of the table? Are they planning to evolve him? Paul Heyman, his contract's up soon. And, if he leaves, does this evolve the character? I don't think Heyman's going to go, but I don't know. But I could also see it's a triple threat match. No disqualification. I could see Jay and Jimmy Uso getting involved, helping the head of the table, the tribal chief, win this match. They've been showing him it's weird, like he's been a strong but vulnerable champion. Thinking about that last man standing match with Kevin Owens, where like Kevin Owens more or less beat him, had him handcuffed down, and looked like he was going to win, and he kept on having very close chances against Reigns. You had Daniel Bryan actually beat him. And it's funny how he keeps like losing or should have lost, but gets help from people, but still like, yeah, it's just because I'm the man. It is kind of the way he's describing it. So I'm going with Roman Reigns winning this match.
Which is funny because Nicole is saying something about how Daniel Bryan eats the pin so Roman can still argue he is the Oh, so that kind of goes hand in hand with her prediction. She's going with Edge.
I could see Edge winning this match.
I want Edge to win this match. I really do. I want to see Edge win this match because, like I said, he did not actually
lose the title.
He just relinquished it due to an injury. And the fact is that Edge
the reason I can see Edge not winning this match is because of the fact that he's on a very, very limited schedule. So I could see that being the reason why Edge isn't, because I mean, yes, he did step up and say, I am in the main event. I should be part of SmackDown on a week-to-week basis because that's how you build a match especially for
He
the
showed
title
up on
WrestleMania.
NXT and Raw too.
He showed up and did what he had to do instead of his 3 appearances a year. I can make the case for Roman Reigns and say that Roman Reigns. Actually, you know what? I'm going to go with Roman Reigns. I think Roman Reigns ends up winning this match because it just makes the most sense for Roman to win this match. I'd love to see Edge win it as a mark, and as somebody who has been an Edge fan for a long time, I would love to see Edge win this match, but I don't see him being I can't see him being around all the time, especially when he's already hit his appearances for his contract. Now, if he comes back and is on the TV more, then so be it. Then I could see him winning. But as of right now, I think Roman Reigns has the most momentum. Roman Reigns has the most to win to gain from all of this, and I see Roman Reigns doing it. Although Chris Brown bringing up the point that this is going to be Daniel Bryan's last WrestleMania as a full-time employee,
allegedly,
apparently, I don't see Daniel Bryan winning this match. I'm going with Roman Reigns.
Okay. All right, so those are our WrestleMania predictions,
and it's a good thing too because like if like the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal is in it, we'd still be on night 1 because I'd be like, well, I could see Elias winning it, but I could also see Ricochet winning it, and my dark horse is Slapjack. Yes, I got it in there. I fit it into the podcast. Yes,
That's what she said.
I had to fit it in there. Woo! I got Slapjack in the podcast.
All right. So, good, bad, and brainless for this week.
I'm sorry. Okay, so Jay, what was your good for this week?
I'm going with Tommaso Ciampa versus Walter. They put on a phenomenal exhibition of what a professional wrestling match should be, and I applaud these guys for everything they did. I could only imagine what both of their chests looked like the next day.
Yeah? I actually saw the pictures of the next day. Ooh, God. They both look like ground beef.
Yeah.
For me, I'm actually going to kind of add on to it, but Walter does get my good for this week. And not just because of the fact that Walter retained the championship in a blood feud match against Tommaso Ciampa on Wednesday. He had a match the following day on Thursday in NXT UK and put the UK title on the line and won that shit too. So right now, no matter what happens tonight, nobody has had a better week in WWE television than Walter. So Walter gets my good for this week.
Okay.
What do you got for bad?
And this is just a little minor thing, but it's a detail that kind of irks me. Io Shirai versus Raquel Gonzalez was not a no count out, no DQ match. It took quite a while for Io Shirai to get to the top of the skull and do her insane dive, which was awesome. But there was no count out. Like, if you're going to have, if you know going in, you're going to have a moment like that, just have William Regal say, yeah, no count out, no disqualification. We need a winner.
Right.
That's all they need to do. And I'm satisfied. But I don't like when they play that fast and loose because, like, obviously they were both outside the ring for like 2-3 minutes.
Right.
So, yeah. So that's my bad.
My bad for this week goes to the fact that they really don't know what the hell they're doing with LA Knight down at NXT. You bring in Eli Drake, and at first you change his name to LA Knight, which is fucking stupid. But then you have him debut kind of as a face, and then here we are, not even a month after his debut, he's already doing heelish things and doing all this stuff. What the hell is LA Knight? So the fact that they kind of turned him heel a month after he basically debuted for NXT is why it's my bad. Now, it would have gotten my brainless, but somebody else deserves my brainless for this week.
Yeah? All right. Well, as far as my brainless goes this week, and again, it's a little just. It got on my nerves. Vic Joseph continually telling us what we're clearly audibly hearing from the fans and from the folks in the Capitol Wrestling Center. You don't need to tell me that. It happened like 2 or 3 times. You don't need to tell me. Just call the action, man. Just call the action. So, Vic Joseph, you're usually on top of your game. You were a little bit, couple pegs down. Brainless.
So my question to you before I announce my brainless, when it comes to the good, the bad, and the brainless of this, is there anybody who is excluded from being good, bad, and brainless?
I'd say technically no.
No. Nobody is excluded from good, bad, and brainless. Because there's been moments where you and I have had our goods, and we've had our bads, and obviously brainless.
And sometimes it's not wrestling related.
But this week, the brainless one does deserve the award for his brainless of the week. And it's because of the fact that as I was getting so excited for WrestleMania, I went on social media and was doing all this WrestleMania related stuff. So one of the things I did was on Instagram, I did a WrestleMania moments tournament as I came up with some of my personal favorites and some other WrestleMania moments that I thought were like really legendary that other people would have liked.
Wait.
So in the process of it, during the Final Four, in the matchup, and it got brought up to my attention by Nicole, so Nicole gets the hockey assist for me earning my own brainless for this week. I did it in the Final Four, which was Andre the Giant and Hulk Hogan from WrestleMania 3 going up against Daniel Bryan at WrestleMania 30, which I did perfectly. And as I was doing it, I got progressively better at setting up all the stuff. And then in the next round, and the other matchup, it was Edge hitting the spear on Jeff Hardy from WrestleMania 17 going up against Shawn Michaels and Ric Flair from WrestleMania 24, where Shawn Michaels said, "I'm sorry, I love you," super kicked Old Yeller and put the dog out of his misery. Well, what I didn't realize is that when I was doing the voting, I forgot to change the name to HBK and Shawn Michaels in the actual voting part and Edge Spear in the other one. So it was like, "I'm sorry, I love you," Shawn Michaels and Ric Flair from 24, like I described it, going up against Edge hits a spear against Jeff Hardy. But in the voting, I put yes and no. So it was just a minor little thing that I did, but just to prove to you that for 2 reasons. Number one, it's not just a gimmick, it's a lifestyle. And number 2, it just proves that everybody is eligible for good, bad, and brainless, and I am not excluded, nor is Jay or anybody else from being brainless. Although when push comes to shove, I think I am the king of possibly being the brainless every week.
Yeah. All right. So if you like what you've seen, heard, and all that sorts of jazz, make sure you like us and follow us on every social media at the FNMARKS. And make sure you subscribe to us on YouTube.
And that's YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. They gotta know what
they know what social media is.
But we don't have TikTok. Maybe we should.
They know what social media is. Come on.
We should look into TikTok.
Anyway, we're all over that, and we're also on the All Elite Marks page, and that's where we go live every week. Make sure you set up notifications for when we go live, that you will be notified, so that way you can join in with the conversation.
Yeah.
Oh
shit! I didn't even realize that. I forgot that the logo's back here.
So beyond that, we are all over the place, and we're trying to have fun and update anything and everything out there. Like, follow, subscribe, share, all that sorts of fun stuff. So we appreciate you guys tuning in every week. And
I know we have about 6.5 more hours left on the actual finals vote. But as of right now, Edge hitting the spear on Jeff Harvey at WrestleMania 17 is beating the moment of all moments in the history of professional wrestling right now. I'm still trying to wrap my head around it. I don't get it. I must have missed something.
And I'm not trying to be Scarlet or a Karrion Kross looking at my watch. I'm looking at my watch because at this point, the WrestleMania pre-show has been going on for 14 and a half hours.
We were going to bring that up. I was thinking about the ride over here too. I was like, shit.
Pre-show has been going on for 14 and a half hours, and we still have another 48 hours before WrestleMania is done. Hopefully by then, Tommaso Ciampa is finished clotheslining Walter, and we'll also have the ending of the Kofi Kingston and Seth Rollins gauntlet matches. And we'll see if Nia Jax finishes WrestleMania with her hole.
And if somebody will actually make it to the ring or not.
Right. All right.
I think that's it. I think that's everything for WrestleMania weekend.
Nope. Wait.
No. There's one more thing. That's because today, which is night one of WrestleMania, on April 10th, 2021, at an astonishing 2,267 days, ever marks all of Americana Taco still alive in 2015 Royal Rumble.
Yeah.
It's funny too because I have this song on my phone, so every once in a while I'll just randomly play in my car, and I'm like, and because I have music ADD, I usually I'm like, I actually try to get it in there when I'm playing it in my car, so I'm a loser and a dork and all that stuff. No, I know. I am my harshest critic, no matter what anybody says. All right. So for episode 217 of the F and Marks podcast,
I'm Jay.
and I am the brainless one. Make sure you mic up
with your guac out. All right. Enjoy WrestleMania, everybody.
Thanks for tuning in.
And we'll catch you next week.
Yeah.